Welcome back. This is your DM. We had still issues with my microphone or my headset at the time, so I couldn't record our session. And so I'll be narrating more or less this portion. As you know, our adventures they came from the middle of the dungeon, exploring both the left and right sides already, and they fought some kelpies in some deep water. Uh, Besides that, they continued forward onto the other side of the where they fought the kelpies, and they see a spinning cylinder, a essentially just a rotating piece, and they're making checks to see what it's about, what kind of trap it is, and so on and so forth. But the it's essentially only um, rotating with some oil or some like grease on it. So unless they fly over or have some really great athletics checks, it's gonna be very difficult for them to cross. I believe Ted found out he can make a homunculus, and the homunculus is crossing to the side to see what it sees. And as they get part way through, there's a voice on the other side. As you can see here, Scrap is talking to the voice that's behind the wall. And it's a male voice, a knight presumably, and essentially he's just warding them off. Stay away, get out of here. You don't belong here. But as they are, a voice, a creature means experience, so it drove them forward, unfortunately. Nonetheless, they start going through. They start like trying to make their way in, trying to either step inside or walk through as they did. And so they essentially force themselves in, and inside is a woman. A woman who looks like she's very well put together. She has like beautiful clothes and such, and then the knight comes around and he's essentially the same. He looks like he is protecting her and keeping her in this space, but beyond that, this area seems very lackluster for our party members, because the knight, he doesn't want to fight, but he will fight if he has to. But his number one priority is protecting the woman, and if they ever were to actively fight or go for the woman or the knight, then he would have to act upon it. But he stays well away, or at least to a considerable degree of worry or wariness, so that way he doesn't, get attacked, or his lady doesn't get attacked. But long story short, the party seemed very disinterested. They wanted to look into the room next and over, and to them it wasn't very interesting anyways. It was simply a nice room that was more or less put together, if I recall correctly, and it seemed like just a place of rest. Beyond that, they tried to ask them to come with them, and their low rolls made it mainly impossible, because they simply did not need any assistance, so they began to leave. The party started to proceed forward. There are many doors, but there wasn't, if I can recall, too much going on. I think they were looking for buttons or switches that were opening the doors, because they were sort of water sealed. But I've added a uh, water dragon? No. See, dragon turtle. I've added a dragon turtle because my players were way too overpowered with it. Especially Scrap. Curse you, Scrap. So there were originally a single giant crab as a quote-unquote final boss, but it wasn't strong enough, and I knew that with its attacks and HP, it would be super lackluster, so I made something bigger. And so the party, they enter, and I tell them that crabs start coming out from the side. And 4 crabs. So my players, they start going for it, and they wanted to attack. So they start prepping, and the purpose of these crabs were more of like to tell you what this area is. It's sort of like a submerged geyser. And so these crabs eventually found their way and just started populating this area. And as you can see, they don't have a lot going on. They have a +3 to hit. They have 1 attack. Their HP is 13. They're going to get destroyed immediately by anything my players do. So I made them food for what is to come. My players, they decided to fight on. And going forward, I forget what attacks they do. I see. Produce flame, a javelin. And he instantly destroyed the first one. Scrap uses barbarianism, his rage, and our good pal Ted made him even bigger, so he's at full size essentially. I think I actually made him too big in the map, but regardless, it wasn't going to matter for very long. Essentially, the dragon turtle comes up as the true boss, and this is where it gets really interesting, because the dragon turtle, it is here for food for the crabs. That's kind of how I rewrote it. And so I wanted to use its steam breath as much as possible, because AC is the detriment of any creature I try to throw at them. Frickin' Scrap with his displacement cloak, with his high AC, he takes half damage for pretty much everything. He needed to be taken down a peg. And they got steam breath upon, and they are getting a little upset with me because the dragon turtle was nomming on the or killing off the crabs before they could get to it. But it was of no consequence. And then essentially it turned to a kaiju fight. A giant dragon turtle versus a giant robot, and they are essentially just shaking the ground as they attack this over and over. And they were unfortunately doing a really good job. Ted and Kindle were applying those debuffs, those statuses, and then Scrap was taking all the hits, or what he could have taken, and was dishing out the true damage. So they were a very effective team, to my dismay. But eventually, I think one of them was saying, oh yeah, I forgot. I did give them magic items. That was my downfall, because I thought this place would be a lot harder, and apparently it just made them way overpowered. So hence the dragon turtle. The dragon turtle has a lot of HP, and I feel like at an eventual point, they were dealing damage and doing what they can, but they were sort of bored with it, I suppose. Unfortunately, that's kind of where the video ends. Again, this is just me learning recording, trying to figure out how things work, putting in all the learning how to record or audio and everything. So this is why this is in sort of the misadventures of, not misadventures, but the mid-adventures, because you just dropped into the middle of it. Incomplete. I'll probably change the name to the Incomplete Adventures of White Plume Mountains. Because this had a very lackluster, I wouldn't say lackluster anymore, but at the very end it's very lackluster. So essentially Kindle spoke to the Dragon Turtle to try and weasel their way out of the combat, because they seemed like they were actually taking some serious blows. And I don't know how it came to this. I'm sure my players can remind me at some point. But then Ted, he decided that he was going to woo the Dragon Turtle. And I just let it happen. And unfortunately, I think he got a natural 20. So there was like, okay, it worked. Unfortunately, it worked. And so Dragon Turtle's like, the rest of you can go, but you see that little fairy guy with the glasses? He's mine. And and essentially it just kind of cuts to black there as everyone else leaves. They go to the front with the Genosphinx, who provides them with the riddles. Ted follows in later. They get sort of ambushed by the Genosphinx and two Ifritis, I believe. Two essentially fiends, I believe. They are part of the dungeon. No one's allowed to leave it. Essentially, you're either part of it or you die in it. In any case, they took care of everyone quickly, and they wanted to fight the one who was in charge, and I didn't have anything for that, so I'm like, you know what? How about just like a big dude? So they had a second boss fight, not as glamorous as the Dragon Turtle fight, but they killed him nonetheless. And yeah, that's kind of how it ended. Unfortunately, I didn't have the recording at the time, but I will do better from henceforth. If you ever want to, I guess, learn more about this, or if people want to know more about what happened, I can do a little Q&A with my players to try to decide or remember what happened. But until then, it's been your friendly neighborhood DM, Xanderpool, and this is Demon. I hope you guys enjoy the rest of my videos. Bye.